We're live. Hello, Knut.
Hello, Freddie.
Good to be here.
Good to be here.
Please, let me introduce you quickly to the viewers at home. Here we have Knut Svanholm, author, philosopher, and Bitcoin fanatic, you could say so. Can I use that word?
Fanatic? Yeah.
Yeah.
Bitcoin fan.
Bitcoin fan?
Addict.
Yeah, I mean, there are...
Fan/addict.
Yeah, fan/addict. All right, that's cool. Tell me, Knut, would you open up for everyone a bit who you are and why there is weight for your words?
Well, that's up to others to decide whether there's weight to them or not. I'm a regular guy that had a Fiat career in the shipping industry, and I started writing about Bitcoin after discovering it around 10 years ago. I started writing in 2017 and published my first proper book in 2019 that did way better than I could have ever expected. And so I continued writing more books. And somewhere in 2020, I wrote an article with a sentence, "Imagine everything there is and everything divided by 21 million" in it. And that later became an animated little movie with this equation in it that all of a sudden everyone in the Bitcoin space started to use and add to their Twitter handles and even tattoo into their bodies. And after that, my life sort of changed, and I got all these offers to do stuff all around the world, Bitcoin related, and I'm still on that journey and to see where it takes me. And currently I have a podcast called the Bitcoin Infinity Show. I'm doing an academy thingy, which is one chapter from each and every one of my books per week with a little video added to it. We release all the books for free on Nostr, accompanied by this 1 hour video every week. So those are the two main things. I got 5 books out at the moment, 4 of them about Bitcoin and 1 about praxeology in general. And right now I'm on the conference circuit, pinballing the world, going to different Bitcoin conferences and talking about Bitcoin everywhere. And no plans to ever stop.
Yeah, once you get on the Bitcoin train, it's hard to get off.
Nothing stops this train. No.
Yeah, nothing's stopping this train. You mentioned your academy and how you teach about Bitcoin or explain these basic things in very simple terms. How would you say that you would go and explain Bitcoin to a child?
Yeah, I get the question, what is Bitcoin, every now and then. And I thought about that a lot and like, what's the simplest way of answering that question? And my simplest answer is that Bitcoin is an agreement on a fixed set of rules. So it's just we Bitcoiners are just a bunch of people that agree on a fixed set of rules. And the reason we agree on this particular set of rules is because it allows for something that cannot be copied. So it allows for a monetary good with a finite supply cap. The reason it cannot be copied has nothing to do with it being on the internet or being digital or anything like that. It's just that at the end of the day, all owning a Bitcoin means is that you have access to a secret that you believe other people don't have access to. But you don't really own them. You just know certain information that you believe that other people don't own. So the only way I can explain that thoroughly is that the sats actually don't live on the blockchain or time chain, if you will, or on the internet, but they're in our heads, which makes the Bitcoiner and the Bitcoin part of the same entity. So I would say, like, Bitcoin is this cardiovascular system of the bigger entity that now is the Bitcoiners as a one life form rather than individuals. So while each individual is a node, the bigger thing is humans now have a way of communicating value, signaling value without third-party interference and in an honest manner, and peer-to-peer and all of that, which is, in my opinion, a way, way, way greater discovery than most people realize.
Yeah, once you grasp it, it has that how would I say, that Pandora's box effect to your own life once you discover it fully, and then you're like, oh, this is something that like clearly was missing in a certain way.
Yeah, and I keep on discovering more and more stuff about it, and more ways to explain it, and more ways of looking at it, and figuring out what it is. I think the most crucial thing is that most people don't even understand the problem that Bitcoin solves. So the question, what is money, obviously arises. And that's a rabbit hole in itself. And when you realize to which extent the current monetary system is flawed, to say the least, but how much theft there is baked into it, then there is no way to unsee that, and you become a rebel and a freedom fighter almost involuntarily. You can't like escape the truth. At least it was that way for me.
Yeah, I think that happens to a lot of people. When you talk about Bitcoin, often you compared it to Bitcoin being time. Can you go a bit deeper on that?
Well, all capital is stored time in a way. Like when we, for instance, if we take the Robinson Crusoe example, so imagine Robinson Crusoe alone on his island, catching fish with his bare hands. If he chooses to forego time catching fish with his hands and instead allocate time to construct a fishing net, I mean, he will have to set aside some fish to do that, and there's an alternative cost involved. But then that fishing net becomes a capital good because he can now catch more fish per time unit than he previously could. So all capital goods, including, like, money is not really a capital good, but it's a representation of a capital good in a way. So that is stored up time. You free up time that you've saved in a way. And Bitcoin is time, is one way of viewing it. It's also like, I would rather say that it's the best representation of the scarcity of a human lifetime that we have, because like the two things that are absolutely finite, and that's just the time you have on this earth and the sats you have on this earth.
It's equal in regards to how valuable it is. I was thinking, when we're on the topic of money, what would you say is the biggest lie you've ever been told about money? Like
that we need inflation for it to function. That is absolutely 100% a lie. And you can see that, like, the scaremongering about deflation being a bad thing, it's just, that's the biggest lie ever told. Like, even in the fiat monetary system, there are goods and services that do drop in prices, like everything in computers, for instance. The computers are more powerful. The price per megabyte is still dropping due to Moore's law. And the market sells more computer stuff than ever before. So it's like, deflation is nothing to be scared of. It's just like viewing the world through a Bitcoiner lens is how I view it, because then you can actually see that prices ought to be falling. I mean, I like to ask the simplest questions, and what I think everyone should ask themselves is like, or one question I try to use is, if a human being practices doing something, do they usually get better or worse at the thing they're practicing? And the answer is obviously they get better at what they're practicing. And the follow-up question to that is, so why aren't all prices falling forever? And in truth, they are. You're just using the wrong denominator. But if you denominate in sats, you can actually see this. And that's the biggest mindfuck that Bitcoin gives you. It's like, holy shit, all the fiat prices are lies, and this is the only way to see the world in a truthful manner. And you can see how much of the overall human productivity that is being taken away from you through rising prices. I mean, when I buy a cup of coffee, it costs me like 5 times more than it did 10 years ago. And humans are better at making coffee nowadays than they were then. Like, we have better means of communication, better means of transportation, better ways of growing the coffee beans, everything is better. Like, we're better at it, and still the prices go up. That is all due to theft.
Yeah, and it's clearly because the measuring stick is completely false.
Also, I'd like to point out that money cannot be used as a measuring stick. A monetary unit is not a unit in the same way that a centimeter or a joule or something is a unit. Money and prices only signal value. They can never measure value because value is subjective and dynamic. You can choose to not buy something, and thereby by your action of choosing not to buy something, you signal that you value your money more than the thing you didn't buy. And likewise, if you buy something, you signal that you value the thing you bought higher than the money. So I think a lot of the confusion comes from people thinking that you can measure stuff, like that it is a measuring unit. It simply isn't. We all value things subjectively and dynamically, meaning that something that is valuable to me now might not be valuable 2 years from now or from moment to moment. It's just that with the Satoshi, we have a more honest way of signaling value, not necessarily measuring it.
Yeah. That was a deep one.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the internal fights in Bitcoin comes from this misunderstanding, because we describe money as a store of value, medium of exchange, and unit of account. And I'd say that it's only the medium of exchange one that is actually true. What people miss is that it's a medium of exchange over 4 dimensions, not 3. So it's a medium of exchange over space and time. Over time, in the sense that you trade with your future self by saving. So I think that's a false dichotomy, that it has to be either or, store of value, medium of exchange. It's all medium of exchange. It's just that it's in 4D. Yeah, so it's literally 4D chess. If you view Bitcoin as one analogy I really like is the chess analogy. So Bitcoin is a lot like the game of chess, or like the rules of chess. Which change over time, but it takes a long time, and you need practically every chess player to agree that it was a good idea to change the rules for the rules to change. The last time the chess rules changed in any significant way was like a move called en passant, which was like 1100 years ago or something. Chess is really old. Yeah. And Bitcoin is the same. Like it only changes if we all think it's a good idea that it should change. So it's very resistant to change in that manner, and that's a feature, not a bug. Where was I going with this chess analogy? So
the
4D chess. So it's literally 4D chess in that sense. So it's an agreement on a fixed set of rules. Like if we play by these rules, we play the game of Bitcoin. Yeah. If we have a chessboard that is 64 times 64 squares with only a few pieces in one corner, we're playing Bitcoin Cash instead, and nobody plays that. And if we play on a chessboard where the pieces are replaced and change all the time, we're playing chess Ethereum, and nobody plays that either, because they can't decide on the rules. And if you want to play this particular game, Bitcoin, that allows for some rules that don't change over time, then you have to play Bitcoin by Bitcoin's rules. And it's literally 4D chess.
That is very absurd, since like the concept of 4D is also very mind-boggling to us humans who only go 3D.
Yeah, I think that's why the dichotomy exists, because we experience time very differently from how we experience the other 3 dimensions.
That is true. It has. It's not as fixed. It's different in different times as well.
Yeah.
You were talking about how people misunderstand Bitcoin. What would you say is the biggest misunderstanding in regards to how people view Bitcoin?
The most common misunderstanding is that the miners create Bitcoins, or that the miners mine for Bitcoin. That's a very prevalent notion, and it's simply false. Miners create blocks, or block space, if you will, and they get rewarded by the network for doing so. If they are entirely the slaves of the node runners, or at least they should be. Like this is how the system is supposed to function. If they don't follow the rules that the nodes signal to the network, then they don't get the reward. So like they get rewarded by Bitcoin's users. And I would say it's not only you hear the term economic node very often, but even an economic node, meaning a Bitcoin node that verifies validates the transactions coming into it, even if that is run by Wallet of Satoshi or Coinbase or some big custodian, that custodian has its clients and its customers, and it needs to cater to the needs and wants of its customers. So I would say every single person is an economic node. And none of this exists in a vacuum. Even a person without Bitcoin influences how a Bitcoiner acts by participating in the free market with that person. Like we are all, the economy is not there aren't really different economies. Everything's connected. It's like the Kevin Bacon numbers of IMDb, right? We're all the degrees of separation are smaller than we think.
Yeah, and I mean that's due to a lot of reasons, globalization or so on, but like economies is no longer like a nation thing. It's everywhere at all at once.
But saying that Bitcoin miners find Bitcoins is very much an oversimplification, and it sort of misses the point.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing to like point out, because it's very often forgotten. In regards to people misunderstanding Bitcoin, why do you think most people don't realize that they should get on the Bitcoin train? Like, what's the reason people like
mainstream media? Maybe. I mean, they everyone who thinks like inflation and I would say taxes also is something else than theft are living in a reality which Bitcoin isn't really compatible with, like especially the inflation part. Let's not go into the tax debate, but like they're living in a reality where this simply doesn't map onto their worldview. Like money is such an integral part of everything in society. So imagining a world in which the monetary system is completely reimagined is super hard for most people, and just imagining a world where all prices go down, it's insanely hard to wrap your head around. I mean, gold was not absolutely capped in the way that Bitcoin is. So the prices remained stable on a gold standard because the amount of new gold that came into the market was sort of linearly. Had a linear relationship with the overall increasing productivity and everything else. That kept prices relatively stable, and therefore a cow price in gold is about the same price now as 5,000 years ago. But that will not be the case on Bitcoin. In Bitcoin, if you denominate in Bitcoin, prices are going down forever. So it's very, very different from the current system, and it's hard to wrap your head around.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing about like wrapping your head around it is also that it's depending on how you receive the message, also and at what stage in your life, and how you start taking it in. I remember for me personally, it took a good while before I like wanted to understand it, and there's something very interesting about when people hear about Bitcoin and when they discuss and they're not that well versed on the topic. It's always like they're walking around a maze and you've given them the map because you say it, but they go into these corners where they're kind of stuck.
Yeah.
and then they eventually maybe find their
and there's
out.
a lot of misinformation out there. I mean, a couple of years back, it came in the form of shitcoins, like other cryptocurrencies being promoted as equal or better than Bitcoin. And what that misses the whole point. Like the whole point is this finite supply, and that we decide on one fixed set of rules to play by. Otherwise, the invention is pointless, or discovery is pointless. And now they come in more insidious shapes and forms. So when they try to shitcoin on Bitcoin and stuff like that, and people try to sell you paper Bitcoins all the time and say that, like, yeah, Bitcoin is buy my ETF or buy my company's stock that has Bitcoin on the balance sheet. It's all just adding a layer of more risk and less personal responsibility. And it can be hard to find the signal in the noise here. But yeah, follow the money is usually good advice. And realize that everyone on earth selling anything is really a FUD salesman. Yeah. If I sell you a soft drink, I am selling you the FUD that if you don't drink my soft drink, you will be less content than you had been if you drank it. So from a certain extent, anyone selling anything is selling FUD. I mean, we're selling, like, go to BTCHEL, otherwise you're missing out on a great event. Like, that's also FUD.
Yeah, but it's also true.
Yeah, of course it is. But that's sort of beside the point. I mean, everyone's selling you a hardware wallet, everyone's selling you an ETF, everyone's selling you whatever, keep your Bitcoin on Coinbase or what. They are selling FUD. They are selling, like, you shouldn't take responsibility for this, leave it all to us. And that's what created banking in the first place. I mean, the history of fractional reserve banking is just a guy that happens to have a vault, and he charges people to store, or he provides a service. You can store your stuff in my vault. And then he realizes that he can give out more receipts for stuff than he actually has gold in his vault, because the likelihood that everyone will want their stuff back at the same time is very low. And that's how fractional reserve banking is born. And that's basically what we still live in right now. Yeah. There is not normal euros and dollars and yuan are not backed by gold in any way, shape, or form. And now you have President Trump agreeing with Elizabeth Warren on that they should drop the debt ceiling. The reason they have to do that is because interest compounds. So we're in this hockey stick phase of the global debt just being on the verge of exploding. And the only lifeboat is Bitcoin. It's the only way to opt out of this shit. And everyone else is just going to experience having to work more for less for a long time.
That's a harder pill to swallow than the orange will.
Yeah, you either own nothing and try to be happy, or you own nothing and you actually are happy. Like, yeah.
When we're talking about fractional reserve banking, the common view on this is that it's about 10% or so. That is kept in, and then the rest you can lend out and so on. This is the common view on it. Would you think that there's a way you could, this could be moved in some direction where it's not like 10, that it would be maybe 50, or like is it just theft is theft in this case, and there is no like.
Yeah, this is an important point to stress here. Fiduciary media is not money. Like. A promise that is not keeping, a promissory note that is not keeping the promise is a lie. All inflation is a lie. Like, it's based on a lie. It is theft. There is no way around that. Someone stole what was rightfully yours by diluting the purchasing power of the thing that was supposed to keep its value over time. And by keeping its value, I mean that its purchasing power was supposed to go up because people got better at doing shit. Yeah. So every monetary unit should reflect that. And currently the only monetary unit that actually reflects that is the Satoshi. Yeah.
That is so simple and true. When we're talking about Bitcoin and your view on this, which is you have some hot takes, so to speak. What's the ideal world for Knut Svanholm?
The ideal world for
like what would that look like?
I mean, it's hard to imagine. Like I think that a total ANCAP society is probably a utopian dream. There will always be aggression. There will always be people who try and succeed to have a monopoly on violence in a certain geographical area. Whether that's a mafia or a gang or a government or any other criminal organization, it depends.
Yeah.
I think, though, it's always directionally correct to try to resist that and to try to make the government's influence over your life less significant over time. Like, and that is the moral thing to do for each and every human being, because the force in the other direction is super strong. Like all the governments grow bigger. It doesn't matter if you vote left or right or up or down. Like every single party in every single country wants to increase the government's power, and even if those that say that they don't, but they want to diminish the government, after a while they do anyway, and you can't really shrink it when you have this ever-growing debt bubble that's just picking up speed all the time. Like there is no way to shrink the government other than to find things that can help you opt out of their systems. It's the only way.
Yeah. Would you say Bitcoin is often compared to a cult or a religion? Would you say there's something about that?
No, I'd say that it's the opposite. It's the we are escaping a religion. Like in fiat land, we trust and don't verify. Like ironically enough, every dollar bill in circulation has "In God We Trust" inscribed on them. And you trust the system to not fuck you over, and it is fucking you over. Bitcoin is not the cult; it's the people who are escaping the cult. Fiat is a cult, and I would say even democracy is a cult, where it's the taboo word that we're not supposed to criticize. But property rights are more important than any of the other stuff, right? And even free speech laws. Free speech is only necessary in a public space, and a public space implies that someone took something from someone else. There is no public good. Like it's all, at the end of the day, controlled by some entity that makes the decision. So, and I think that the more people that realize that, you have to take back control of your life if you want to have any influence over it, and there is no justification for, like the whole notion that some people should and could and should be able to control others without their consent is simply false. Like no, it's not justified that someone else should decide for me what's best for my life. Nonaggression principle. That's the most derive an ought from an is kind of ethic there is. I mean, I don't think science can arrive at an ought from an is, but at least praxeology and Austrian economics sort of can derive an ought not. You ought not aggress. Like, and I say, like in this religious context, that even if you take the 10 commandments, I only agree with one, and that is don't steal, because I think that encapsulates all the others. And you could even say that the first 2 commandments are a violation of the don't steal command, because you're stealing the option to choose other gods. Like my morals and my ethics are all derived from don't steal, which in my view means don't kill, or don't harm, physically harm, because I view my own body as my property. And it's from these irrefutable arguments or axioms. If I pose to you that you own your own body, or that you control your own body, you can argue against that, but in doing so, you need to use and control and own your own body. So you have to use your vocal cords and your tongue and your lungs, and you can't do that. You couldn't have done that if you didn't own it. So property rights above all.
Would you say that property rights above all? That's always a funny one. Do you think? Would you say in your book, Sovereign through Mathematics, you speak on atheism?
Mm-hmm.
Would you say Bitcoiners are atheists?
Yeah, most certainly not. Like, and I've changed my views on religion since I wrote that quite a lot. I was influenced a lot by Christopher Hitchens and his thinking around this, and Richard Dawkins and all that back in the day. But like nowadays, I view, and I have not, disclaimer here, I have nothing against personal faith or spirituality or anything like. I just hate dogmatic stuff, and organized religions are all about dogmas, right? So that's the thing. I think a belief in democracy or a belief in central banking is just as much a religion as everything else, but it's sort of more dangerous to believe that a person on this earth should have the power to decide over other people. And in that sense, a belief in an imaginary friend in the clouds might be less dangerous. Like if you compare people who believe in God to people who believe in Kim Jong-il, I think that, yeah. So it's just my way of saying that we're escaping a cult, and I think most people I've realized since that most people have another definition of atheism than I have, or I use the Dawkins definition, which is it's just the rejection of theistic ideas. It's not saying that I'm absolutely certain that there is no God. It's less like the ones that have been presented to me there's not enough evidence for these. I choose to know. I'm happy with the notion that there is stuff that I cannot know and that no one else can know either. I'm fine with not having the answers to everything. I'm not going to just come up with an answer or yeah.
There's a common saying that the difference between religion and a cult is that in a religion, the inventor is dead. I don't know if I said it the right way. So in both cases, the guy who invented it knows that it's bullshit. We don't know if Satoshi's still alive or what's going on there. What would if Satoshi was to walk into this room right now?
Mm-hmm.
Who would you?
Maybe he is in this room right now.
Maybe he is. I mean, I'm of that age that I could have been very skilled at coding it at that time point. But what would you expect that person to be, and what would you ask?
That's a good question. I haven't thought of that because I don't think Satoshi's opinion would be of any greater significance now. I think, to me, the thing that is Bitcoin now emerged from Satoshi's inventions or discoveries, or call it whatever. Satoshi wasn't around during the block size wars, for instance, where Bitcoin showed a true resistance to a hostile takeover. The block size wars were never about block size; they were about control, and that event sort of showed to me that the users are actually in charge of the network, or were at that time at least. And many Bitcoiners paint this picture of Satoshi as this messianic figure and that's this altruistic hero. I think that's dangerous because then you it's the idea that is beautiful, not the person behind the idea. So Pythagoras' theorem it's equally true regardless of whether Pythagoras was an asshole or not. And I don't like this person cult that comes up, and people use it against Bitcoiners. They say that this is not in in line with whatever was in the white paper. All of that doesn't matter. Like, as long as we agree on this fixed set of rules now, that's what Bitcoin is. It is what we decided it should be. So I think the whole, while I, of course, thoroughly respect Satoshi, and I think his story is super cool, one of the coolest ever, I still don't want to like hero-fy him in that sense. I have no idea what question I would ask him.
Yeah.
What's your favorite color, maybe, or what's the? No, I know what question I would ask him. What's the maximum airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow?
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
From you've seen Monty Python and the Holy Grail?
No, I haven't. I feel so literate. Is that a movie?
Yeah.
Now I feel even dumber. But yeah, that is interesting. I mean, when you look at Socrates, I mean, we all know he was an asshole, but we still love to use the Socratic Method when we're questioning.
It's like I heard Josh Homme of Queens, the rock band Queens of the Stone Age, describe it like this: like when you're a songwriter and you stumble upon a good song, it's the song that is beautiful, not you. And it's the same. He had the analogy like with a fisherman catching a beautiful fish. It's the fish that is beautiful, not the fisherman. So. And I think that same is 100% true for ideas. The idea is the beautiful thing, not the person behind the idea. And like, if there's anything like, that's how I hope my work is about the ideas and not about me. Like, I write because I have this inner whatever it is that gives me the urge to write, and I hope that the texts or whatever is valuable in them is the thing that is remembered or valued by other people. I don't really care about what they think of me as a person. Like the idea is the beautiful thing, and I think in anything you do in life, that's having that point of view is, or that way of looking at things is a tool for getting you closer to the truth. I mean, that's at the core of the scientific method, or at the a priori science of praxeology too. I mean, Mises used the word wertfrei, meaning value-free, so that you should, like any science should try to be as neutral as possible, as like truthful to itself as possible. Like the whole point of any endeavor to understand the world is not to like try to mold it into whatever your worldview is, but it is to actually understand it, which is why the politicization of everything is so fucking dangerous. Yeah. Like they try to mold. Actual science has been replaced by the science to a large extent. Like when it's government funded, it's like missing the basic question: why should we care about this at all? Shouldn't these resources go into something else? So the idea is more important than the guy behind the idea.
Right. What would you say is the direction we're going with Bitcoin? And like your view in 50 years, would you say is the place we're headed as a society or as a world? And
well, I hope in 50 years that Bitcoin adoption is way higher. I hope that as many people as possible take control over their own private keys, and I hope that we will see more self-custody and less custodial crap. I hope that individuals are able to outpace like corporations and nation states and whatnot. I mean, Bitcoin is for enemies, but that doesn't mean I have to like my enemy. Like, and that's why it's vulgar to me when I see Bitcoiners cheering for strategic Bitcoin reserves of nation states and stuff. Yeah. Like, I don't want governments to have Bitcoin. I don't want governments to have money at all. Like, I want the power to be with the people, and I cheer the number go up, but I would prefer if individuals got to the Bitcoins before everyone else. Like that's So if you want to take a political stance or like try to influence politicians about Bitcoin, like the correct fight to take is not one about strategic reserves or crap like that. It's about like drop the capital gains tax, make Bitcoin usable, drop the barriers to entry, like stop trying to criminalize people who are just consensually and voluntarily interacting with one another. Like Bitcoin is completely voluntary, and it shouldn't be a crime to exchange goods or services or information in exchange for a number. Like it's vulgar.
So you've been to a lot of conferences globally, and you've seen what the good ones do well and what the bad ones do poorly. What would you say is the reason to come to a Bitcoin conference, and especially the one we're organizing in Helsinki? What would you be your sales speak here?
This requires a longer, deeper answer. So, as I alluded to before, I think Bitcoiners and their Satoshis are the same thing, really. So, and we all want number to go up, meaning purchasing power to go up. We want Bitcoin to succeed, which means that we want other Bitcoiners to succeed. So we have all the incentives in the world to just be awesome to one another. And that is what I've taken away from being in these communities or in this community for a long time. The more time that passes, the more true that becomes, because more people figure it out. So everyone is super friendly to one another, and like free market competition on a Bitcoin standard is like free market competition on steroids, because not only do we have this free market competition where we compete with one another to provide the best goods and services for the lowest price, which is good for everyone in society. But we're also incentivized to actually help one another. The success of one Bitcoin company is the success of another. And I would say there is nothing more valuable, close to nothing, than meeting other Bitcoiners in real life. You have so many interesting conversations, and you learn so much, and you connect to this fantastic network of people. Bitcoiners in general are very open to helping newbies and letting people in. Of course, you find scammers and bad actors at these events every now and then. But in my experience, the more time that passes, the more of these smaller yet quite big Bitcoin-only conferences that focus on the signal and not the noise, the better they become. It's hard. It becomes harder and harder to fool people over time. And with another Bitcoiner, you can skip all the formalities about the weather and how your car has been the last week, or whatever. All of those thresholds to a normal conversation with a normie are just gone, and you can go into deeper and more interesting subjects faster. So I just love hanging out with other Bitcoiners and doing stuff like conferences and meetups, and they're insanely valuable to me.
As a person in his 20s, what would you say to anyone else in their 20s who's like, usually people tend to be hungry and like looking for some sort of purpose, or just like scouring through information everywhere to find the right thing? What would you think would be the benefit for a person who might be thinking of, is this the right thing or is this not? Maybe you're working in traditional finance or on this very institutional road. What would you say that coming to this Bitcoin conference or getting in touch with the Bitcoin community would advance or help them in?
First of all, I'd say like my tip in general to everyone when trying to navigate and find their signal within the noise is follow the money. Like, why is this person telling me this? Why is this person selling me this? But with a Bitcoin conference and BTCHEL in particular here, it's just to like connect with the other Bitcoiners around your area. There are literally no downsides to doing that. There are only upsides. You'll get new friends. You'll get new business ideas and like connections in general. I mean, I've been helping BTCHEL out with the way I could. I'm not in Helsinki.
No.
Luke is my partner in crime in the pod and the latest books. So my contribution was my network. Like the fact that I've been to Bitcoin conferences for a living for a long time now has connected me to this great network of people. And I was able to tap into that to get a lot of them to come to the conference. And that's just valuable to me and to everyone else. Like so I'm very happy that I could be of any help to the conference. And I think the people that are coming will be very happy with the conference, because from what I can tell, it's a based ass conference.
Yeah, it's a based ass conference, and it's gonna be great. I mean, the fact that there is a wide range of people who are coming and have their skills and expertise in the area, and also like various different areas makes it, I mean, great for any situation. All right, any final words? What would you think this little bull we have here right now is symbolizing, and what does this golden bull or head of a bull? I don't know.
It's the run of the golden bull that is coming. It's any day now. It's just around the corner.
Yeah, it's just around the corner. Wait one more week. Wait one more.
No,
week.
I mean, Bitcoin is not a get rich quick scheme. It's a don't get poor slowly scheme. so like, no one who bought Bitcoin and held them for 10 years have ever lost money.
Yeah.
Like it's. I love that golden bull, by the way. It's a very cool looking bull. Final words, BTCHEL Perkele?
Yeah,
maybe?
up only BTCHEL. I'll quote Knut on the last thing he said. That was great.
Yeah, and don't forget to brush your damn teeth.
Yeah, that's also a good thing. And kiss your mother.
Hug your mother.
Give her flowers.
Kiss your mother?
Yeah, kiss your mother.
No, motherfucker.
Hey, that's what they call me in school. Goddamn. Shout out to all my friends.
Kiss your mother on the cheek.
Yeah.
On the lips.
On the cheek.
I mean, if you're a child. I don't know. I mean,
Freddie, maybe you shouldn't reveal everything about yourself, right?
You
should have a
my family roots are from southern states. Alabama, more exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
all right. No further questions here.
No. This is my moment to be quiet now.
Yes.
All right. Clip the last thing away.